Ladies and gentlemen, it is Monday night. Welcome to the Hot Box. I'm Styrofoam Ralph. This is Cups in the Gang. I got my dog Finance Ride with me, man.
You,
What's
what's
going
up?
on, my brother? It's a pleasure to have you in
Chilling,
the
man.
Hot Box every time, man. Every time is always a pleasure. And we got my dog tapping in too. My dog, Nab Nation, Bleed Blue, for the shoe. What it do?
Oh, he laid up in the car.
Hell yeah. Hold on. Do we got you, Nab Nation?
Got his feet kicked up and everything. Look like
Yeah, yeah. Do we got you, Nab Nation? Hold on. All right.
we can hear him, but he was starting to. I think his
Yeah,
connection was
yeah.
weak.
Yeah. His connection might be a little bad. All right. So we were having a conversation backstage, and like for you to go ahead and just refresh, you know what I'm saying, recoup. We were talking about TikTok and how ByteDance was gonna have to be basically divulge or sell off the platform to somebody else. So can you basically just give a just a quick background, brief background of what's going on with the TikTok situation?
So, the data is stored in China, and ByteDance, from
Mhm.
my understanding, is a Chinese company.
Right.
Typically, when companies are incorporated in other countries, not all the time, but typically when they try to market to us, they store the data inside the United States, which means that it falls under United States law. The
Hmm.
problem is that they think the Chinese government, which is a dictatorship, is using the data to spy on Americans. So that's the reason they
Hmm.
want to and try to influence Americans against their own best interest. So that's the reason why they're forcing ByteDance to either move the data or uh, divest and sell off their
Divest.
company
That's
to
how
someone
divulge.
else.
Divest. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so from my understanding, TikTok's worth 50 billion to 84 billion dollars, but there's an analyst at this security company that says that the algorithm itself allows TikTok to be worth 100 billion dollars. Just the algorithm.
Hmm. Now we've seen though a platform be sold for 50 Bs and it has been ran into the ground basically. I
Which
mean,
platform
could
is
the
that?
same Twitter or
Okay, yeah,
X. So could it be possible? I mean, of course the valuation is that high now, but could it be possible that whoever purchases TikTok could pull an Elon Musk and drive it to? Do you see it? Do you see it happening? Could that be on the in the cards for a platform like TikTok? El Residente, San Jose, representing in the building. Welcome to the Hot Box, my brother.
it could happen. Um, Now, will it happen? Probably not. Depends on who buys it. But if you have bad management and you don't have you got a company that buys it and they're like, okay, we're gonna try to scale it. They may be making the wrong decisions because TikTok got to where it is by other people, not by them. So,
True.
and I don't know what happens to the workers. Maybe some people who work in the United States work for TikTok. Um, Maybe they'll try to go and work for the new company that owns it. I don't know.
Now, isn't it true that they say that the TikTok and the data stuff is a conflict of interest, but isn't it true that the Chinese are purchasing a lot of land or properties in America?
That's true, but they're not the only country that does that, and that's perfectly legal. That's nothing new.
I'm not saying that it's not legal.
The issue is, so they purchased some land next to a military base, and Biden just blocked something about that, which I think is going to force them to sell that land because they're worried that they might use that as a spot to spy on the military base that's right across from that land.
Hmm.
So, but outside of that, you know, if the land, vacant land in the middle of nowhere is worth nothing to them. So, you know,
Now, Residente, are you abreast with the whole TikTok debacle?
No, what's the TikTok tobacco?
Just basically, that they're trying to either get ByteDance to sell it or get rid of it, like shut it down. You know what I'm saying? Because
Oh
they
yeah,
feel
yeah,
like
I've heard of that. I mean, but that's sort of something they've been talking about since the Trump administration, like trying to get TikTok under control for the most part. I mean, but the thing about it is like, okay, what's 100% American that's on the internet?
Mm.
Like, what company is 100% owned by Americans? And does something being 100% owned by Americans make it better?
no,
Does it make it safer?
no. Depending on who you ask, I guess.
Does it make the data even more protected?
It does sometimes, but you have
Some.
to understand how multi-layered it is. Like
Mm-hmm.
Facebook has data servers all over the world, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So, and these publicly traded companies, well, anyone can buy shares of Facebook on New York Stock Exchange from all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
But majority of American companies, the majority of the owners of them are American.
Yeah.
Just because who owns them, the founders are usually were born here.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
I would argue to say that safer. It depends. I mean, there have been hacks here where Americans have hacked data here and used it for nefarious reasons. So
Yes.
that really comes down to security implementation. Like, there's a lot of times these companies are reactive, not proactive.
Mm-hmm.
So if they steal 50 million credit card numbers, they'll then all of a sudden put a little bit extra money towards security because now it's like fuck.
Right.
But if they had just put that money ahead of time, they wouldn't have the issue.
Yeah. No.
But once again, it's greed.
Yeah.
It's greed.
Yeah, I'm definitely not disagreeing with you there. I mean, I definitely
greed.
think that, like, but my point is sort of like, at some point, I would respect the argument more if we were doing more to make sure that American-owned companies were doing a better job of protecting our data.
For sure.
I see a lot of these arguments that are being made about foreign companies from a jingoist front. It's race baiting. It's culture. It's culture wars. And none of these things, like, again, the outcome is the hope isn't to make us safer. The hope
It's really
is,
not.
It's to, like, if they're telling, okay, cool, our goal is by 2035, all data will be protected in these secure areas and that they're not going to get anywhere. And any company that creates an online presence will have certain protections in place to make sure that citizens are protected. That's not what they're saying. They're saying we don't like TikTok because it's owned by China.
For sure. I mean, that's really what it boils down to.
Because and it's like, at its core, that's what they're selling. Just like, okay, I'll give you a great example, right? Everybody loves constitutional carry. Everybody loves constitutional carry. You think, oh, constitutional carry, you're an American citizen, you have the Second Amendment right to carry a gun, so according to the Constitution, you should have a gun. Even though it's a much deeper conversation that I will not get into, because like, when they wrote the Constitution, we did not have a police force. We did not have a trained militia. We don't actually have a national army that was one of the greatest armies in the world. We have a navy that's one of the greatest navies in the world. So people literally have weapons in their homes to protect them in case the British came back and tried to kick their doors in, or the Spanish came back, or the Native Americans tried to kick their doors in. Now we literally have people whose complete job is to keep that from happening to you. So the Second Amendment was written in a time where, like, the current context of life does not exist. But I digress to my original point. Constitutional carry. People love constitutional carry. The NRA loves constitutional carry. You know when they don't love constitutional carry? When black people have guns.
Yes.
So what they've done in a lot of states that they take away, they put rules in place like, oh, you can have constitutional carry, you can have open carry in public places. That's all well and good, unless you're a convicted felon. Then you can't have it. Well, guess what, guys? We don't walk around with whether or not we're convicted felons taped to our chest. So it's now up to suspicion. So who are the people that are most likely to be sort of falsely accused of having guns illegally and being searched for having guns? Black people. And you're going to use that argument against me and against my kids and against kids that I care about. So when people make these arguments that are not actually rooted in caring about the issue, I'm always against that argument.
I definitely feel you, because again, I've signed up for a TikTok. I'm pretty sure Ryan has signed up for it. I'm Rez, have you signed up for TikTok?
I have TikTok.
I have one. I don't use it.
What is the difference in the data that you give TikTok for signing up, or whatever, and the information or whatever that you search, whatever it is that you browse on TikTok? What difference is the content that you look up on TikTok that you would find
The difference is
somewhere else?
China is an authoritarian dictatorship. That's the difference. The difference is they're looking for ways to topple the American public. And one of those ways is by influencing the American people to be against their own interests, by playing around with the algorithm, putting false information in front of people that's not being regulated or doesn't have any, there's no civil recourse. You can't go sue them for it.
I mean, are fact checkers on Facebook real? I didn't mean to cut you off, but I'm just saying, it's like that was my main question. It's like, is the information that you give and or receive from TikTok not the same information that you would give and or receive from Meta?
No, it's not. Mainly because they're different algorithms, they're different companies, they're different people that develop these technologies. And once again, the influence is Meta's an American company that's not trying to topple the United States government. They're not trying to go to war with anybody anytime soon because they don't have that. Whereas in China is a dictatorship that controls everything. You do business in China, you got to get permission from the dictatorship. And if you criticize China and you're a billionaire, they disappear you. There's been cases where they disappeared 10 billionaires for 2 months, 3 months, and all of a sudden, those people pop back up months later, and they never say nothing bad about the Chinese government again.
Yes, that's true.
So that's how they operate.
America is also on the verge of re-electing a guy who literally organized an insurrection that tried to stop the change of the peaceful transfer of power, which is what dictated what democracies are built on. See, that's the thing. You can't make both of those arguments at the same time to me.
Well, but the thing is, that's only if he wins, and that's only if he then does those type of things. But what I'm saying to you is, America,
the writing is on the wall for him to compete down to the very last second.
If we live, I remember Howard Dean. Howard Dean was literally running against Barack Obama. He was the leading Democratic candidate in the nation until one day he went to a campaign rally and said, "Yeah," one time, and they said, "We cannot have anybody that would make that sound in public be our president." And President Obama skyrocketed past him in popularity right after that. Dog, we used to have things in place as a country that would literally make sure that people like Donald Trump could not happen. And if he happened, he'd never happen again. Well, not now. No. We are boosting that up.
So far, though, if the American people really wanted Donald Trump, he would have got reelected. He's not won the popular vote. He's not won the popular vote neither time.
Yeah, neither time, right.
And the second time, he lost the popular vote by even more margins.
Yes.
I think Hillary Clinton was 3 million and Biden was 8 million. So, and another thing, he lost Georgia how many times now? He lost Georgia in 2020, and his handpicked his handpicked senators lost both those races. The Georgia
yes, they did.
So another thing, Arizona, we hadn't won Arizona in how long?
It's been a while since I won Arizona. I can't remember exactly, but yeah.
We might win North Carolina this time. You see the crazy two people that they're trying to run for governor and for the they got that lady and that black guy said some craziness on their Facebook.
Yeah, but North Carolina is a tricky state. It seems it's much more progressive than South Carolina is, but it's not nearly as progressive as it needs to be to become a beacon of hope in the South.
I would argue that Georgia is the one that they really need to win back, but I would argue that if in a runoff, they can't organize enough people to come back out for a second time and win a runoff, how are they going to win the national federal election? Because you have to assume Georgia has a lot of older white folks who are racist and bigot that have died in the last 4 years. You've also have to assume that Atlanta, which is growing, and people are flooding in from all over the country to move there, is going to take that margin of 10,000 votes that Trump lost by and at least push it to 20 or 30.
Well, the problem is this, and this is something I actually was talking to my homeboy about the other day. Republicans did a much better job at something they actually attempted when Barack Obama was president. So I remember when Barack Obama got elected, Mitch McConnell said that his one job was to make Barack Obama a one-term president.
Mm-hmm.
That was his stated goal, right? And so what they tried to do was throughout the Obama presidency, they tried to tell you that he was doing nothing the entire time he was president. And for a lot of people, that worked. Like just being like, "Yo, he's not doing anything for you. He's not doing anything for anything. Like there's nothing happened." But the crazy thing happened that when Trump got elected, his first year as president, all he did was remove all the changes that Barack Obama put in place that people said hadn't happened. So that was really interesting. The second thing is during the Biden presidency, they've taken that exact same approach, but it's worked. And it's worked because, I mean, let's look at it. So by numbers, our economy has never been in a better position than it is right now. That is an actual fact. That is an actual fact. That is an actual fact. Our GDP is higher than it's ever been. Yeah, our GDP.
If I have to interject with that, I feel like our economy is still shit.
Based on what?
Look nowhere.
Based on what?
Nowhere. I mean, just
based
life,
on what?
bro.
No, see, that's the thing. We can't just see that's the thing. You're doing it. Wait, hold on. I got you right. Hold on. You can't do it based on your life.
There has to be a criteria. Yeah, there has to be a certain criteria.
You can't just say, "Oh, my life isn't better." So no.
I'm not saying national life. I'm just basing off of like what I see, far as how much it costs nowadays, the products, our services. Like I don't. If we dealing with inflation, I don't.
Do you know where inflation came from? Do you know where this inflation came from?
Corporations.
You remember the checks that everybody loved when we was getting those checks that was coming in the mail during the start of the COVID time, the Trump presidency, when they started sending those checks. Well, guess what happens when you send people $1,400 a month for not working? The price of a Snicker goes from $1 to $2.50.
Bro, but the price of a Snicker was still going up.
Okay, but was the price gonna go up regardless of the stimulus check?
Not at that rate.
It went up.
Can Mr. Bitches interject?
That's all I got.
I think that a lot of this inflation has to do with the Russia-Ukraine war, only because Russia is responsible for like 2/3 of like Europe's energy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like so something like that is being felt around the world, like the cost of production, and a lot of things aren't just produced in the United States. That's going to affect global trade. So I think a lot of that has to do with this war, the economy. Is like Russia is a major superpower. We have this issue going on with Taiwan and the United States. Like there's a lot of like underlying issues that go on, and like these wars, we say, oh, well, the United States needs to butt out and all this stuff. But a lot of these war interests in terms of economy, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, why do you think your goods are so cheap? Like, you know what I mean? Because of like tariffs and taxes that are put in place. So it's not all necessarily about like conquering people's lands and stuff like that. It's like people are used to a certain lifestyle. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And it's like, well, a lot of illegal shit has to be done to maintain that lifestyle for you to be comfortable over here. Unfortunately.
Yep. No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, bro. Like, but just to the point, like you have to have, like, you can't just say the economy isn't any better because
it's not based off that. Like, it's based off global trade, stocks, like things like that. Like
GDP.
Based off what you.
But what about exports? What about the relative like affordability for things that used to be, or maybe like let's say like healthcare and housing and education compared to back then, compared to how much absorbent it is now? Like it's outpacing like the price of housing and education is outpacing inflation though.
It comes down to one thing that people rarely talk about. The people you work for are purposely underpaying and stagnating wages because it's making them richer. If they can pay you, they're paying people less than their parents made 30 years ago.
It started with slavery.
I'm just letting you know, like there was a time that wages kept up with productivity. There was a time that wages kept up with productivity. What happened is this country, by landslide, voted in Ronald Reagan. He won 49 states, and he said this. So you really need to blame your grandparents. He said, "I'm going to put trickle down economics in."
Yep.
And you know what the word trickle stands for? Peeing on you.
For
what
real.
else trickles? Did you want
For
to
real.
flood? You want money to flood down, or do you want it to trickle down?
We're going to give all the money. We're going to make sure that all the rich people have the tax cuts. We're going to make sure all the rich people have the opportunity to earn at a high rate, and then hopefully they'll get it down to you poor people at some point.
No.
Another thing that
would
needs to
never
be
do that, though.
understood. Another thing that needs to be understood, Ralph, is like when they refer to the middle class, they're not talking about us. Like me and you would be considered like poor, like we're lower class. Even though we got decent jobs, we making decent money, but like we're not in that tax bracket. Like,
would
you know what I'm
never-
saying? These niggas are making
I
like
never said they were middle class.
100,000.
Middle class is being extinct.
No. I'm not saying that you was. I'm not saying that you was. But what I'm saying is, in the sense of like inflation and like when they talk about, I guess really what Ray was saying, really like that shit really don't apply to us, bro, because we're poor. Like, of course, everything to us is gonna seem like all is going up. Shit was already barely affordable, and then now niggas ain't got decent jobs and the prices done went up. Like, I think it's kind of designed to be like that. But
Think about this.
For sure. It is.
Think about
to
this.
fucking perpetuity for sure.
Think about this.
Yeah,
a house in
definitely.
Petersburg, right?
Mhm.
You could have got a house in Petersburg for $50,000. You could have put $30,000 into it, so people could have got a loan for $80,000. Most banks in 2017, 2016 would have said, "I'll do it," because you only needed like 20% of $80,000. So
Only
our
if your credit
generation-
was good.
Hold on. Of course, all that, sure.
Yeah, all of that was.
But
That's always
listen, our generation, I'm 35. I'll be 35 this year. My generation got out of school in 2008, right? If they had saved up just a little bit of money per year all the way up until 2017, they could have bought an investment property in Petersburg for 80 grand. The banks would have given them a loan. There's no money to the banks, okay? Those same houses went up by 300% between 2017 and 2024. But the income didn't go up by 300%.
That gets me to my next point. So another conversation we have to have when we're talking about affordable housing is the short-term rental market. So
Yeah,
we
Airbnb
love
definitely fucked it
Airbnb,
up.
right? We love Airbnb, right? I was explaining this to my mom the other night. So listen, it used to be you'd buy a house to live in. You bought a house for you and for your family to live in. Now we have corporations.
Before you start cooking, Rez, give me 1 second. Before you start cooking, you already know I got you. Before you start cooking, bro, just give me 1 second, bro. I got you.
Yeah, go ahead, Rez, because I'm trying to see the light.
On Georgia's housing crisis, stunning new details tonight on Georgia's housing crisis. A GSU study says 19,000 homes, not apartments, homes in the metro are owned by 3 companies. That's nearly 1 in every 9 houses up for rent, and some entire suburban neighborhoods where corporations own it all. Channel 2's Michael Doudna is live in Paulding County. And Michael, this is important because it drives up prices for everyone.
Yeah, when you're talking about tens of thousands of homes involved here, well, it can make an impact, meaning that homes that you see like this one.
And I know this isn't necessarily about the short-term rental market, but I mean, all of these homes owned by companies, some of them, like they said, for rent.
No,
and they're going to be able to do this as well. Like,
no, those companies are purely buying these homes for rent. So think about it from this standpoint. Let's say you buy a house, right? And you take out a mortgage on a house. Let's say you got a nice house back in 2017. You spent $250,000 on a house in 2017. That's a nice house, regardless of where you're, except for unless you're like New York City. But outside of that, like that was a nice house in 2017, $250,000, right?
Right.
You pay mortgage on that house. You're probably paying, if you have decent credit score, around between $1,400 and $1,600 a month on a mortgage, right? For that. That is what you're paying out. That is what the bank is getting. All is well in the world. Then this boom of these short-term rentals happens. So now if you're renting out that place, let's say you are a person who you want to rent that house out. You say, okay, I'm paying $1,400, $1,600 for it a month. I'm going to rent it for $2,000 a month. Or for $2,200 a month, right? Now I'm making $2,200. I'm paying $14 to $16. I'm making an additional $1,800 a month on each house. Now what they can do with that exact same house is they can put it on Airbnb and rent it for $350 a night.
Come on, bro.
That's pure profit. It's pure profit. And now
the property value is going up.
The property value is going up, and people are doing the same thing right around them. So now these college kids who are looking for places to stay, like, because now that bleeds not only because you can't find a house. So now what are the people who have these families are doing? They're trying to get apartments. So now they're driving up that market. It is impossible to get an apartment as a college student right now. It is impossible.
It's impossible to get any type of housing.
We got Dakota Mike phoning in to the hot box. What's happening, Dakota Mike?
What's up, Mike P? It's impossible to get housing if you're not making more than $50K.
Oh, absolutely.
You straight up, like the way the market is set up, you have to at least be making $50K just to get your foot in the door.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. So
we got you, Mike P?
The biggest problem is basically half this country is against raising their own wages, and the reason why is that they were brainwashed by the people they work for to be against raising their own wages. All you have to do is look at people who get mad when people be like, we shouldn't pay people at McDonald's $20 an hour.
Why not?
And I'm like, so they don't deserve to have a place to live, livable wages.
You know what I'm saying? For sure.
But the reason people say that is, say you make $20 an hour right now, and people at McDonald's make 10. But it's about jealousy and selfishness. If they make 20, you're gonna now make like 30.
Mm-hmm.
Because if not, you would just quit your job and go work at McDonald's and chill behind the counter.
Yeah.
Because it's wage competition.
Well,
so
McDonald's people are sort of, they're screwing themselves. They don't I don't know if they realize it, but they're really screwing themselves, because the first time I walked into McDonald's and saw that machine that I can order my own food on, and people just standing behind the thing, like laughing, like, haha, we got it. I'm like, okay, cool. They're taking it. That machine is taking your job. They will not need you working register. And now they have the machine in the back that actually is sorting the food and making the food. They're gonna be like 2 people to run a McDonald's.
The only
Taco Bell in Minnesota that's already automated.
Another thing that
in there
another thing to understand is people who work at McDonald's typically don't have the education needed to organize and to understand economics and what's actually going on. And they know this.
Yeah.
So and typically,
but even if they did, Ryan, I mean, even if they did, though,
they have to organize and demand higher wages and demand that automation is reduced or limited.
These things are things that even if these places are staples into the economic system, though. McDonald's, Walmart's, all these like Family Dollars, all these low-paying franchise staples, these are always going to exist, bro. And the low wage places of work are always going to exist. The reserve army. No, they don't have to, but that's how the system is going to work, and that's how the system.
But we can fix that. The only problem is we have to collectively organize more people than we actually have organized now. In the 60s, the top tax rate for the rich was 90%. And in the 60s, we saw the fastest economic growth until recently. So imagine right now if the top tax rate was 90% and we're seeing the best economy in 50 years. Imagine how good this economy would really be for everybody, top and bottom.
I feel like there should be no.
The top tax rate now is like 37%, and most people don't even pay that.
Bottom. No, it shouldn't be no bottom though. I feel like
listen. When I say bottom, people think when I say bottom is the goal. My goal would be that everybody who would be so-called be at the bottom, their minimum income would be like $75,000 a year right now. So if you make 35 right now, you would be 75.
I still think as long as the wages, I don't mean to
increase their lifestyle. We want to increase their standard of living. That's also why we need universal basic income as well.
Because we don't want to get rid of private business. You know what I'm saying? As long as wages,
business, we would just be eliminating poverty.
No, but I mean, I feel like having a wage set versus making sure that needs are met is a different conversation. And I feel like we can still address poverty by making sure that resources are met while people can still pay, because we don't like the petty bourgeoisie, like we understand like the dynamics between that. We still want mom and pop businesses to be able to establish themselves and be able to afford labor. You know what I'm saying? We want to be able to afford labor, and we want people to take those wages and still be able to have their needs met and still contribute to society by having a job.
So by increasing their wages, that gives them more money that they can
But we
spend
know
on
that
decisions.
just like y'all said with the stimulus checks, if we make a drastic increase in wages, it's the same conversation that y'all are talking about with the stimulus checks.
You got to understand what has happened recently is corporate greed. They purposely increase the prices faster than they normally do. Normally, inflation's like 1 to 2% a year. You have some cases where they've increased the prices by 20 to 30% per year. That's not inflation. That's somebody up at the boardroom saying, you know what? I want to siphon more money out the people that are below us. Let's increase some prices. And now they've had record profits every year. That's what they're doing. Think about this. 8 men, just 8 men, own more wealth than 3.6 billion humans. That's more than half the planet. 8 people.
For sure. For sure.
What you need all that money for?
How is that possible unless, of course, that money was siphoned out of the pockets of those people? And that's income inequality right there in a nutshell. 8 people own more wealth than half the planet.
So at the end of the day, on a rule, whether we like it. So try to figure out why these things have happened. Like they're trying to get rid of the middle class for one. You have to look at NAFTA. You got to look at all these programs that send jobs overseas, that jobs that Americans were having at one point. So I ask the question all the time, my friends. What is a good job? If I'm 18 years old, coming out, not going to college, and I want to get a good job. What is a good job? That's going to have benefits. That's going to have retirement. All right, they've been working at a company for 15 years. They was on their way to get to a certain point where they would have a certain stipend or they would have a retirement. And you know what business is doing? They're cutting them. So they're not getting to that point where they have to pay them.
They not even firing shit. They just cutting pensions. They just cutting retirements, bro. They're not even firing niggas.
That's what I'm saying. So
it comes down to culture. I know people who do not own a business, and they say if they owned a business, they would be ruthless businessmen because that's what you should be.
No, I don't believe that.
Yeah.
Why? You only own a business, and you said if you get a business, that you should be a ruthless businessman if you own one.
Because they said when you in a business game, you gotta it's a dog eat dog
It doesn't
world.
have to be though.
It's not a dog eat dog world.
But they created in the business world, in the corporate world, they created that.
It's a decision that people who own large scale businesses have made on their own. They do not have to act that way, but they choose to act.
No, they do not. That's why I don't support certain businesses. I don't support McDonald's at all. I don't go to McDonald's for shit. I talk shit about them people all the time. KFC,
Dole Fruit. I mean, we hate the virtue signal, but you know what I'm saying? I think we all have one company, you know, because it's like there is no ethical consumption under capitalism. Like we all heard that before. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like if you find one reason to hate on one company, you're gonna find a reason to hate on every single product that you can put your hand on. But my personal one is Dole Fruit. Once I found out the origin of Dole Fruit and how the lawyer Sanford and some insurgents basically invaded Hawaii and overtook the queen or the monarch, whatever they had going on over there, and took over their fruit fields, and that's how Dole Fruit got started, from a violent invasion of Hawaii.
You could say the same about Volkswagen, Hitler. But the difference is the people who run and work at Volkswagen now have no connection to what happened over 90, 80 years ago. So we kind of have to look at it from a stance. Those people back then did wrong, but these people currently are not doing wrong. So who do we blame? How do we?
Well, I mean, shoot. I mean, everything that right now has been built on the foundation of exploitation. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you're saying that they aren't doing anything wrong now, but they're continuing. I'm not condemning anybody. That's not what this is. But I'm just saying they're keeping the wheel spinning on the jump just by, you know what I'm saying, keeping everything going. It's like we know we're locked into the system.
It's tricky. You can probably look at every major company in the world and realize that somehow people benefited, even if it was 500 years ago. Your ancestors may do something crazy 500 years ago that allowed a company now to thrive.
Yeah, like McCarthy.
Everything's generational. Everything is generational. There's a direct line.
Yeah. That's a
You
fact.
may not have benefited. You may not have benefited, but maybe something your great uncle did benefited Elon Musk.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Definitely.
100%.
Do we still got Mr. Bitches in the hot box? No, Mr. Bitches has tapped out.
Y'all cooking right now, fellas.
Well, a lot of times I feel like a lot of it too is people are exploited through generations. So on the opposite end, it's like we can say, okay, people have benefited. It's people who have not benefited as well. So a lot of that shit is brainwashing. So when I see people, it's a direct link. Their thought process come from their grandma. So their grandma, whatever they're doing, was at a bad pace. Then they raised those children, and those children have children, and those children have children. So I mean, I'm at a place right now in my life. I watched one of my friends, his nephew, like his last nephew, graduated college. I remember it had been maybe like I've known this person for like 10 years, and that person wasn't even born yet. So like, imagine how much time has went by, and the conditioning and the brainwashing, and people are just starting to really realize, oh shit, this is not right. Oh, these companies are doing these, or they're selling us fake fruit, they're selling us fake meat. You know, they're not raising the wage. They're raising the wage and then coming right behind it with the quick inflation, like you just said. So it gets to a point where either you're going to be in the matrix or get out the matrix. That's why I decide to, like I told you, I go to my country store. That's why I decided to move out of Richmond, because it's a lot of things I started to see that I didn't care for. The quality of customer service I started to see I didn't care for. Not blaming the young people, but it gets to a certain point they have no customer service. They have no foundation on how to conduct themselves in a business. So, you know, that's to me, I don't want to go to a Walmart or area where somebody say, hey, you know, and they're like, what you need? It's like, bro, what you mean what I need? You have to come with some decorum and goof about yourself to say, how you doing, sir? How's your day? You know, anything I can help you with? That's how you approach somebody when you're in customer service. You don't just want to say, hey, what you need? Like, and a little water and that. Like, basically, so I don't want to go to get my time done as the same type of attitude. I'm like, I want you to country.
So you don't like a casual greeting at a Walmart? Hey, what's up? What's good, my dog?
I'm cool with that.
You know exactly what he's talking about.
You know, I'm about attitudes. Now I don't mind it was good, dog. Like, I'm comfortable with that too. But it's a certain level of professionalism you have to carry yourself.
I feel you, though.
I'm sir. When you see me, I'm sir. Now the conversation gets a little more loose. I got worked at customer service. I worked at Lowe's front end customer service. So I had to deal with people, racist people who had bad attitudes. I'm having to keep that junk, not cooning, so to speak, bro, or code switching. But I'm just having to keep myself at a certain level. Like, I'm not going to allow you to get me outside of my character. That's just what it is. Like, I'm coming to represent my family. I work for Lowe's. Hey, we're going to try to make this ship easy as possible.
Man, Rez, I want you to, since you are an out-of-towner, Ryan, I'm going to let you cook. But Rez, since you are an out-of-towner, give me, I want you to look up your single family units for your area code, the rent owner lived in percentage for single family homes. What percentage are owner lived in? Owner operated.
Mm-hmm. That's a good question. Excellent question.
Because in Richmond, Virginia, our owner operated percentage is 46%, which means the other 54, 53, something in there is being rented out. So over half.
Ours is 68.
Wow.
My city is 68.7%. But I want to check Charleston, because I bet you Charleston is way.
Man,
worse.
I guess some people are trying to
get Atlanta too.
Try to buy my house every single week. Somebody calls me from a phone number, says, "Hey, Mr. Powell, you willing to sell your house? Hey, when you want to
every week."
Nigga, hell no, you're not about to get my crib, huh? I already know that the system is in a certain point. I told niggas like maybe 3 years ago that the apartments is the new project. They gonna tear down. They gonna tear down Mosby. They already tore down Creighton Court. They gonna tear down Parley at Fairfield. Mosby gonna be next.
Mm-hmm.
And they gonna be living in apartments, and then they gonna have the apartment. Because they were selling this shit. That was probably the most demoralizing feeling I ever felt in my life. Like, I don't shit. Get eggs.
You know, Charleston's 54%, bro.
You said 4?
54%.
Hey,
Yeah,
what's Atlanta?
that's tough.
Let's see.
Yeah,
45.7%.
Still not bad. I would thought it'd be a little lower.
No,
there are
that's
100.
astronomical.
There are 110,224 housing units in Richmond, and the median year in which these properties were built was in 1958. So that's the median year of all the 100,000 houses in 1958. Of the 98,000 houses that are occupied, 43.38 are only occupied by the owner, while 56% have renters living in them. So we
You
have.
said that was 98,000. You said that was 98,000. Atlanta has 221,000 homes. 221,000 homes. Only 45% of that is lived in by the owner.
Come on, bro. And bro, when y'all start talking about like GDP and stuff like that, like I'm with you, but it's like it's still up there. But when we talk about, y'all can go on about how the economy, and I'm still not debating it. Y'all can go on about how the economy is in a great position, but there are things that I feel like everybody's making money at a record rate. I mean, that's what's going to happen at the top.
But the difference in the point is that this is not a presidential issue. This is not something that the president can make or break. This is something literally Congress is going to have to come together and say, we are going to put a cap on like housing. Like we are not going to allow you to build a 10,000 unit facility and not be affordable to the people that live in that city. Charleston, so literally there was a housing project in downtown Charleston. My brother actually lived in them. My little brother lived in them. They made them move because they said that the land was contaminated and they had to get the people out of there. They did two things from that. One, they extended the bridge that takes us from Charleston over to Mount Pleasant, which is like
Atlanta.
Nasty work. Let's put it that way. And now that strip of land, which is the entire coast going into Charleston, is now high rises.
That's a damn shame.
And who do you think owns that? Not the people that live in them.
Nope.
Definitely not.
Not at all.
So that's not something the president can stop. You can't stop that with an executive order. So if Trump was the president or any Republican was the president, one, they have no interest in stopping that because they generally do not care about poor people at all.
And they play that game.
Right. But the people that are investing in their campaigns are the people that are buying these buildings.
Yeah.
So there's no political will and there's no political power to make it happen. So Congress literally has to come together and say, for the good of our constituents, for the good of the people that live in these cities, live in these towns, we want them to be able to afford to live in the places that they work, that they've raised their families for decades and centuries, some of them at a time. We are going to make an effort to stop these. New York City's already making efforts to stop the short-term lending. They actually put a law in that says you cannot do Airbnb in New York City at all. There's like other places that are doing stuff like that. No, it's good.
I agree.
You need that.
At all, though? How you going to stop business, period, point blank, though?
Bruh,
that's never been the to me solved anything. Just saying, okay, you guys can't do anything.
No, that's the American way, and that's the problem.
Yeah, exploitation.
That's the problem. It can't be greed. It can't be greed over people.
Do the American people need a reimbursement? Like, you know what I'm saying? Do we all deserve a reimbursement for how the government and all these corporations?
I've been saying this. Reparations. We've been doing reparations for years.
They're going to have to replicate everybody.
Slave owners got reparations before after slavery. Indians got reparations.
We could do more tax credits. We could do more tax credits. We could do. Biden's already talking about trying to get, and I showed this to Ralph. Biden's already talking about doing $10,000 for new home buyers. Okay, so we can do tax credits, we can do lower taxes, but if we lower taxes on the general population, we have to raise taxes on the wealthy. I just told you eight men own more wealth than 3.6 billion humans.
But this is the thing, though.
That
Y'all know the
money is
loophole.
never going to get spent.
It's never in their name. It's probably under a C corp or S corp. Like
It
that's
doesn't
the
matter.
thing.
It doesn't matter. Their names are on the C corp, even though it doesn't appear to be. But the money
Corporations are people.
Yeah, I mean to a certain extent when it comes to business. Like
Trump,
that's the reason why they get out of the tax loophole.
Trump,
but I'm saying though, like just,
tax rate.
But just like the stimulus check, do all Americans who pay taxes deserve something as if like more than the 1,200 that we got during COVID year, like something that
you mean like a one-time check or something that just keeps coming in the mail?
I like Andrew Yang's plan.
Honestly,
doing?
If we need a monthly thing for all American people, like is this
an endorsement for UBI and you don't even know it?
It is.
This is just something. This is just something that I feel like everybody deserves. Like if you pay taxes, once you know what I'm saying, start paying taxes or your taxes, you know what I'm saying, you are automatically qualified where you get paid every month a certain amount of money from the government, which keeps you stable in your life.
That's
so
called?
You don't have
no
tax return.
It's called a tax return.
What I'll tell you is this.
That's what they're gonna say.
What I'll tell you is this.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying that's what they're gonna say. They're gonna say that's called a tax return.
We saying we don't.
I fuck with you, Lethal.
Let's say
your tax return every month. You get your tax return. You get your tax return every year. You know what I'm saying? So it's like
you can.
Every citizen.
You can. No, but you can.
Needs a monthly check. You know what I'm saying?
No, but you can. You can get your tax return every month. You would just get a certain percentage of it.
This is for you being out here, you know, working, making sure you know you're doing what you.
That would never happen.
The government.
No, that's not realistic. People don't care about people, man. Like we have to get out of this mindset that people have to care about people. They don't.
No, bro. So it's multifold, right? It's multifold, right? So you got to think about it from this standpoint, right? You give a man a fish, you teach a man to fish, right? So how many times has the government? So I'll actually use
that. Some people in this world need
Lethal.
A flat rate. You know what I'm saying? And
no, because they'll take that flat rate and buy weed with it, bro.
Is that true though?
Yes.
Is that true?
Hold on. I understand people talk about reparations. People just think they're gonna blow the money. Probably based on people's current habits, but you have to change the culture so that people have good habits.
I agree.
And the only
which is why you can invest that money. You can say
generational. Unfortunately,
right. So what you could do, and this is sort of, and I know when people talk reparations, they're talking cash money, and I get that. But I live by the mindset that poverty is a mindset. It is a social. It is in your head.
It is.
If you have a poverty mindset, you will be poor no matter how much money you have.
That's a fact.
You will be living in poverty regardless of how much money I put into your hand because you have a poverty mindset. When you get that money and you have a poverty mindset, you're going to do stuff that broke people do. Yes. I'm going to go out and buy me a 75-inch TV.
Come on now.
My one-bedroom apartment.
Come on now. Keep going.
Do you feel like people whose needs are already met versus people whose needs aren't met act differently with money?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay, great example. I drive through the inner city sometime, and you know what I see a lot right now? Denim tears. And I know we all know what that denim tears looks like with the flowers.
The flowers.
Now ask yourself why I've been able to ride through in private neighborhoods, and on every corner someone's got on designer wear. And this ain't the fake shit. These niggas are buying the real shit.
That's a fact, though.
So
a lot of it's self-esteem.
And listen. So and a lot of them are, of course, drug dealers, whatever. But what I'm saying to you, there are people that if they get money, they will blow it. You just have to look at the lottery winners. It's like 75 to 90% of lottery winners blow millions because what happens is it is not hard to spend $400,000 in a month.
It's not hard at all.
And I can spend $40,000 in a day in one store, in a tech store, and buy a TV that's $40,000 right now.
That's a fact.
Think about
I would have to make an extreme effort to do that, but it's definitely possible.
But it's possible.
Oh, no.
But there's a
shit
guy in the news the other day. He blew $55 million. He was spending that kind of money per month.
Yeah.
Or
No.
better yet, look at the ball players.
Yeah.
Look no further than Antonio Brown.
But that's the thing though, bro. You got people out here spending like,
look at the
what I'm saying,
boxers.
$60,000. You know what I'm saying? People walk around with $100K, $200K, millions of dollars. It's like, bro, it's insane.
They're also supporting a lot of
But
people.
my whole thing is though, even if everybody was educated, would the project still not exist?
They would, because poverty is a
Systems in
mindset.
place still no.
And because
But
people have been born in this
every
system.
person that's lifted out of physical poverty, person that moves away from a food desert, somebody still has to live in that area. Somebody still has to try and find work and try and make a life in that area.
Yes. No, I
So
agree.
it's
No,
like-
you're not wrong. You're not wrong at all, bro. What I'm saying is, if you take, let's say we take 100 families. We came up, we hit a lick, we hit a super lick. We got $100 million, and we decide we want to tie that $10 million of that back into the community. We take 100 families, and we give 100 families $500,000 apiece. How many of them families you think are going to be living out of the hood in a year?
It depends, bro.
If 20 moved out, I'd be shocked. If 20 moved out, I'd be shocked.
But you can still revamp.
You'd have to pay. You'd have to if you don't have any connections. I mean, it's not like we could just hop on Robinhood or the New York Stock Exchange and just start spending money.
Which is why I'm big on So I think if we were to have a realistic conversation about repairing the damage done to the Black community, right? There'll be a few things that I would do, and I've talked about this politically. I've talked about this publicly, so this ain't nothing that's new to nobody that knows me. One, I would restructure the way we fund the police. I would not defund the police. I would not defund the police because we need law enforcement. But what we don't need is to spend 10 times more on arming the police force than protecting the communities and building up the communities.
For sure.
That's what I'm saying.
For sure.
So I would take 50% of the police budget and I would put it directly into the communities that are served by those police officers. I would make sure that those schools had Head Start programs. I would make sure that they had recreational centers. I'd make sure that they had a grocery store and places they can find green food. Like I would put that money directly into the community. That's what I would do with 50% of the police budget, and it's there.
It's there.
It is.
It's there. But we continue to because we don't pay attention to who's the sheriff, because we don't pay attention to who's on our city council, because we don't pay attention to who's our mayor. We're not a part of these discussions. But we can do that. We can change that stuff real time, right there. You know how I know? Because every time the Republicans get mad about something, they rush down to town hall, they make a big stink, and something changes.
That's true.
Bro, we can do this stuff. This is not stuff.
But I told you before, it goes back. What?
No, sorry. No, I was gonna say I get really excited. Like Cups. I'm confident if within the next 5-10 years you're running for office. And when you do, bro, you have the opportunity to give voice to people who feel ignored, and they're gonna rally around you. Trust me, you're gonna be able to show people. You are going to show people. I'm telling you, it will. It's gonna happen. But you have to see it for yourself. Then you'll be able to be in that city council position, and when they slide that budget across the desk, guess what you get to say? Yo, this amount is going to the police force. We can do better than that, y'all. We can use this money to make sure that we're putting it into these communities.
I've said this numerous times. It gets to a point where we have to pick the candidates that we want to see. You can't get a candidate we don't agree with, and then try to make that person do what we want them to do. That's what they do every single year. They give you the candidate and say, "Hey, you get to pick from these two."
Dog,
literally, that's what they do every single year.
Dog, that homeboy you got that's really smart, Ryan. I'm looking right at you. That homeboy you got that knows this stuff, that knows what's going on. Y'all need to talk them into running. We talk our homeboys into everything else.
That's real talk.
Talk your homeboys that yo, no, dog, you got it. Not only am I going to support you, what do you need from me in order for you to run? That's what we got to be with it, fellas.
I agree.
For sure.
That's what somebody did for me. Like my homegirl, Crystal. Shout out to Crystal, Representative Crystal Matthews. That was my homegirl. She came to my 40th birthday party and said, "Rajan's got to run for something."
That's real.
And as soon as the spot opened up, she said, "Rajan, you are running tomorrow. You are filing. If I got to pay your filing fee myself, you're running."
For sure. And it definitely do take that. No, yeah.
It's right there, bro. It's right there. Ryan, I'm looking right at you, by the way.
Amber, when you say that most people will still make poor financial decisions, I mean, I feel like just because somebody is rich doesn't mean that. Because I mean, a lot of people that are handsomely wealthy, they always tell you, like the podcast rules, I failed more times. I got lucky one time, but I failed way many times than you've even tried. I mean, a lot of people definitely make bad investments and poor financial decisions.
Absolutely.
A lot of people who got rich off investments got lucky.
Niggas do become selfish. Like niggas who been at the bottom and finally lucked up. You know what I'm saying? The money becomes a greed to some people, bro, and they become very, very selfish after that. Like, well, you weren't there with me when I got it. You know what I'm saying? And then that's where you create the people who envy others, the jealousy, and then you have all the shit that goes on along with it. So it's like, I feel like even if you vote for the right people, you still gotta hope these niggas don't turn when the money is bigger than they ever seen before. You know
I'll tell you that. So what I do is, like, you know, you said like faith without works is dead, right? So I vote and then I do my part. Because ain't nobody's elected, like nobody elected office is none of their job to make sure my family eat.
Facts.
Yeah, but
none of their job to make sure, like I hire my family members.
But you're not in that room. You're not in that room with them when it's time for them to make that big jump. And it's a different type of conversation. Like, you're not there. You don't know what's going through their mind at that time. You know what I'm saying? That's why I say it's like that shit is it has its like it's that roll of the dice. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because you got candidates who get in these jobs and then they turn like the system. Like, but you got a sister that was in Baltimore who prosecuted them cops against Freddie Gray. You seen when she decided to try to do the right thing, they came after her. They literally tried to put her in jail. She just got off. You know what I'm saying? She got convicted of a crime. What's her name?
No, I'm just telling you, Animal Farm. Like, it's the entire Animal Farm premise. It's, you know, four legs good, 2 legs bad, and then the pigs become pigs. We get the humans off the farm. Now the pigs say, "Oh, well, we the new people."
That's
like,
it.
You know, it's like certain black people that don't like the you know, certain people don't like certain people, and I use terms like patriarchy, white supremacy, because they want to be the people in charge to be able to impose the supremacy. Like, it's nuts, and that's also why within the ranks of our own people, we have so much issues. We don't trust each other.
Yeah,
it's tribalism.
We don't trust each other, bro.
That's a fact, yo.
Yeah, that definitely.
That's why this podcast is so powerful and dope, because it's a level of trust between us. Even when we having those heated conversations, it's like we know we're not gonna let it get to the point where it's too far or disrespectful.
That's
like,
right.
Even if we have had powwows behind the scenes and apologize, you're like, yo, my bad, you know, it went too far, because that's a level of trust and brotherhood that we might have secretly kind of amongst ourselves said, yo, we're not gonna be like other people, you know, like we seen with B. Marsh and them, like how they. That's how I watch things. Like, I'm not about to do that to my brother. Like, I refuse. I'm not arguing with nobody black. I'm not, like, fuck all that shit. Like, we gonna figure it out, because we too important and strong together than we are apart. Absolutely, bro. Absolutely. I think what you just said is like dead on. Like on a global, like on a national scale, like there's definitely some like I can understand Lethal's point about, listen, I know my hood hasn't gotten any better. You know, they got the picture, you know, 2014 the hood, 2016 the hood, 2018 the hood, 2020. Regardless of who the president was, the hood is the hood. There's a degree of it that, yes, the president definitely has a responsibility to do things on a federal level. But understand that hood is not governed by your president. No. That hood is governed by your mayor, by your governor, by your state representatives, by your congressional members. Like if you're jumping all them people to talk about the president, you missing all of it. Everything. Yeah. You're missing all of it, bro.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not worried about the presidency. You know what I'm saying?
You're talking about people who have that mindset. I'm talking to people about that mindset, like that mindset that people have about that. Like, dog, okay, cool. How are you holding the people that are elected to serve you? Because whether you voted for them or not, they're still elected to serve you.
Exactly.
They're still representative of you. So you can still hold their feet to the fire. If you got a council person that you ain't never seen through your hood, then he needs to know that, listen, dog, we putting your feet to the fire. We ain't seen you. We got kids getting killed over here every day. You ain't never showed up.
And that goes back to us not being on one accord. It gets to a point where you have a separate mindset. There's no one mindset. Even when you had Martin and Malcolm, there was a certain galvanization of both of them, but they both had different mindsets. They both had detractors. They both had people that didn't like them at all. So it gets to a point where we have to get to we got to be the change we want to see. And that's what I try to do every single day, is try to change what I see in my life, in my family's life, and that's it. You know what I'm saying? We can help others along the way, and that's great.
There's just so many different think tanks along, like when you start talking about black people, like,
and that's their job. That's
what
the enemy wants, though. They want it to be exhausting to a point where you don't want to do it. Not saying you per se, but that's the goal. They want to have you in misdirection, so you can't figure out where it's coming from. Okay, we're struggling over here. We need help over here. We need help over here. Like, so you have to just figure out, okay, I'm going to focus on this area. I can affect this area. And if I just keep doing that every single day, that's going to make the world a better place.
And I also tell you this, the think tanks piece, like, there's way too many think tanks. We need do tanks.
Yeah,
bro, for sure.
Action tanks.
Like just pull the but for like because I definitely feel you, because it's like, man, just like, bro, and there's no diss to anybody, but it's like you got the people who follow the guys who wear the bow ties. It's like you got the people who follow the fucking podcast guys and fucking the fucking black nationalists and the separationists and the Zionists. Is like, bro, it's so many. It's so many.
There's no common mindset.
Everybody has a different economic approach. Everybody has a fucking different political approach, and it's like, I feel y'all, bro.
And everybody wants to tell you that the other person's dead wrong.
Yeah, and my thing is only one enemy, and that's what I zero in on. I focus on the enemy. I don't focus on people that's not hurting me. I focus on who is hurting me and how can I move away from that person or those people, and focus on getting to where I can get to, where I can help all people. And it's a constant. That's why life is a journey. It's a constant. I may not look right now like how I'm going to be 100%, but I have a goal and I have envisions in my mind, and every year I reach a lot of them. You know what I'm saying? So I'm a type of person where I don't put my shit out there like that no more, because I've learned it's not good for my business and what I'm doing, or just in general. Like, I get stagnant basically. People want to be too much involved and all that type of stuff. So, but what I've realized is, the more I just do the work, the more I focus on the clients, the more I focus on the business of it and expanding that. That's where the funding comes, and then after that, that's where the infrastructure comes. Like, we don't really have we have areas where black people occupy. There's not a black community at all. We don't have a black bank, a black hospital, or a black grocery store, or a black like this is straight, not even black, urban, whatever you want to call it. Our culture that we can go and connect with. Back in the day, you would have an area where I can go to Mr. Tony's Cleaners. He owns this place.
Yeah.
That's why I push ownership so much. Like, you have to be able to do that, because you know what Mr. Tony could do? He can hire somebody that's struggling, who needs a job, who needs opportunity. You do it? So that's why for me,
gonna talk to him like a man. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got to drop no application. I'll go take his hand.
That's it. Dog, come on in here. Let's get this work. A barbershop. Come on in. Let's get this work. Like, we need, bro. That's what I'm saying. Like, all this, give it jab. We need to get infrastructure where we own things and have an area where we have those things for us and focus on us. It's just too much of this. We over here, we over there. We're not focused on one thing and getting those one things done. But I'm gonna do those things. I promise you that. That's my goal. I'm gonna do it for sure.
I feel like diversity in Congress is key.
Yes.
Again, it's all skin folk ain't your kin folk, so we just got to get the right diversity.
Right. Because intellectual diversity is also a thing.
Yeah.
Right. Like they say, all skin folk ain't kin folk. Like, absolutely true. You need people that you need a diversity. Like, the way it's supposed to work is you have all these people from all these places who just want to do the right thing for the people that they represent.
Fact.
And it's gone away from that to being the biggest personalities,
money and power,
and richness.
It's just money.
It's gotten to a part. Yeah, it's gotten to a point where it's just hyper partisan now.
Yes,
and everything is about dollars and cents. You know what I'm saying?
And I'll say hyperpartisanship is not good whether you're a Democrat or a Republican.
That's a fact.
For sure.
I say that as the chair of a county Democratic Party. Like you need that diversity of thought. You need that diversity of perspective. You need people who are going to ride for the farm workers. You're going to need people that are going to ride for union people working in factories. You need people
a labor party.
Entrepreneurs. You need people riding for homeowners. You need people riding for single moms. You need people riding for immigrants. You need people riding. You need all this stuff, and all that. None of that's represented by one person or one group or one demographic. None of it.
No.
It's not.
So you need all of that to be in place. So yes, diversity is absolutely necessary. Right now, our Congress is not representative of our country in a lot of ways. No. And if you're watching what's going on, it's getting worse and worse every day. So
because you got old people that have been on jobs. They've been on the job. They're 70, 80 years old, and they're way out of touch.
Term limits are
and
needed.
They want to keep a system. They want to keep a system going that's benefited them for years. So when you say diversity, yeah, for sure, we need the correct diversity. We need people who really, really need to be in that place. So we got to start figuring out how can we get these people elected and get these people out of here.
You got
because again, when we think about our local elections, it's like how many, like especially like the people that's sitting right now, it's like how many of them are landlords? How many of them are business owners? Why would they vote it? Well, why would they sign anything that would go against their own interests? Like why would I sign anything that would limit how many rental properties I could own?
Exactly. Well, this is the fact that they don't care about people no more. People just don't care about people.
The good news is for them. You know the good news is for them. The people who don't own property, the people who are not rich, will defend those people before they defend their own best interests.
Yep.
And that's why the people who are the politicians that are landlords, they don't worry too much because they know there's somebody who doesn't have those things, doesn't have the same status as them, who will, do everything possible to defend that person.
Can we talk about why?
Yeah, I know why.
Because they have dreams of becoming the capitalist. They're just a misplaced capitalist.
You know why socialism never took root? There's a quote about this. Because everybody thinks they're a temporarily embarrassed millionaire. They think that in the future they're going to be a millionaire. So why would they want taxes higher if they think that eventually that's going to be them? Matter of fact, this is the most recent one was Biden. He said, I'm going to raise capital gains taxes to like 46%, but it only applies to people who have $100 million and up net worth. And people who made $60,000 a year was like, what? Don't do that. Don't do that. And I'm like, did you hear the part about $100 million net worth?
That's not you. That's not you. That's not you. In fact, I remember.
It's never going to be you.
Do you remember when Obama was running for president and he was saying it was a certain tax, the flat tax they were talking about?
Yeah.
He said the flat tax. He said anybody making over $250,000 a year. If you, as an individual, make over $250,000 a year, there was a flat tax that applied for you, and then it went up. It was a graduated scale depending on how much you made, but it started at $250,000. If you made less than $250,000, this would not touch you at all. And they were dumb. They had pitchforks and torches, bro.
See?
He's trying to raise our taxes. Dude, you make $35,000 a year.
Trust me, you good. You good. Your shit
He wants to raise taxes on people who make over $400,000 a year. And I personally know people who made like 75 that lost their fucking mind. And I was like, you made 75, not 400. What? But once again, because another thing is when people think they're going to be rich, they're not talking about I'm a millionaire, but I only make $200,000 a year. There's plenty of those people that have $1 million net worth but make $300,000 a year. They're thinking like the ball players and the rappers with 20 cars and the mansions 10 million. They're not thinking like I only made $3 million per year. They're thinking I'm making 40, 50 a year. So when you have that, and that's what they aspire to. That's why people like Diddy was able to get where he's at, because people look the other way when you're talented and rich, because they want to be you one day.
They want to be in that circle.
He's a misfortune millionaire.
I want to go to that party one day.
I might get invited.
The same thing for R. Kelly. R. Kelly picked up an underage girl on the courthouse steps. Her mama walked up to her, dragged her daughter, and said, "Here you go."
Sick, yo.
Because she wanted the power, the connections, and she was like, my daughter might as well go be around you versus the dusty ass nigga she's going to school with.
Come on, bro.
And you know what he did?
I said, bro.
He linked up with that girl.
Yes, he did.
That's why I said money.
He sat on the couch with Aaliyah.
Money and power is crazy, bro.
It is. People have desires. People want nice things, and because of that, unfortunately, they will look the other way sometimes to get to where they want to go.
Yeah. Definitely. This is good, man. I like this. This is good.
Oh yeah, good shit. Finance, right? Another thing I definitely want, Ryan, right now before I play this video, buy, sell, GameStop.
You know, I sat there and I watched the last rally, and I thought about buying it. I thought about it, and then I said no. Only buy GameStop if you're willing to hold it until the next rally, and you're willing to deal with the volatility because it's supposed to be going down, not up.
I can't believe this GameStop thing is still going on. Can someone explain it to me? I love Ian and everything he stands for, but I literally have no idea what this is about or how one stock could have any real effect on impacting ultra wealthy people. I'm down to help. I just need to understand what's going on. I got you, Matt. I'm going to try to put it all into one video right now. And back in the 90s, all these rich people like at Bain Capital, like Mitt Romney, they realized that they can actually take companies down from the inside and basically loot a company from the inside, take all its money, give it to them and their buddies, the shareholders, and then bankrupt it and leave. And there's not really any consequences. You just buy into the company, buy a bunch of shares, get yourself on the board, take it over, start hiring people that'll do what you want, mismanage it, do a bunch of buybacks so the money gets paid back out to you and the shareholder buddies. And you can really just mismanage the company into the ground and basically loot it for all it's worth. When it goes bankrupt, it's like, oh, well, whoopsies, it was destined to fail. We'll just move on to the next company, whatever, my mistake. And they made billions of dollars doing this to Toys R Us. And everyone else was looking around like, damn, that was a pretty solid strategy, Bain Capital. Maybe we could do that to some other companies. And this was just after the .com bubble happened. And so there's this whole internet thing. Amazon was on the rise. And everyone kind of realized, like, you know, there's all these retail stores out there that are probably in big trouble, like Blockbuster and Sears and GameStop, you know, companies that are bound to fail. So why don't we make them fail faster and profit off of that? Plus, it turns out that these dudes that work at places like Bain Capital that can take these places down from the inside out, turns out they have a lot of friends in the market that like to short sell. And the thing about supply and demand is when I'm borrowing like thousands and thousands and thousands of shares and selling them into the market right now, all that selling actually makes the price of the stock go down. Because like when everyone's selling something, it gets valued less. But when everyone wants to buy something, the value goes up, right? So short selling actually makes a stock's price go down. And these guys realize that, like, you know, you like to make money when stocks go down, and I like to make money when companies get destroyed. And when we do those both at the same time, everybody wins. Except the company, of course. And then it turned out they were like, hey, we both know a lot of people in the mainstream media that like to report on failing companies. You know, the kinds of reports that make investors scared and make them want to sell a stock. And they realized they kind of had the dream team for bankrupting companies, and they could all make money on the way down, and no one would ever stop them because it's kind of legal. And it actually started to work so well that they started to get really greedy. And they started to naked short sell, which means like no one's checking if we're even borrowing these shares that we're borrowing in order to short sell. So why even borrow them? We can just short sell shares and say we borrowed them. And the company's going to go bankrupt anyways. And when it does go bankrupt, we don't even need to pay that loan back because there's no shares to give back. They're gone. And fun fact, it's all tax-free money too, because there's no company the shares are gone. Free money. So some of them got really greedy and started selling without even borrowing the shares in the first place. But we'll come back to that in just a second. Because the other thing that's important to realize about the stock market is it's like this big casino game now. So it's not like the big boys aren't just playing with like a share of a company. They're playing with these things that are called derivatives, which is like leveraging your assets to take out loans to like make big plays, big gambles. So they use all these special kinds of contracts where like they put up collateral in order for their bank or whoever to let them trade on a whole bunch of extra money they don't really have, but they've got collateral. So if it starts to go sideways, the bank can just take their collateral and it's all safe. But like this way, I can trade with 100 times the money of what I actually have. It's called leverage. And all these different tricks, they're called derivatives. And they let these big players gamble with huge positions in the market. So this now, when the stock moves by $1, they're leveraged 100x. And so if the stock goes up by $1, they can make like 100x $1. Or if the stock goes down, vice versa. And this derivatives market has gotten really big, like hundreds of trillions of dollars worth of these weird bets just all over the market. These are the top banks. It's like JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, their names are over there. And this is in billions of dollars. So we're talking $49 million. That is $49 trillion worth of these derivative bets open with just JP Morgan, the biggest bank. But the thing about these derivatives is they all have collateral backing them up, right? And the thing they use for collateral, they're not like you and me. It's not like they're putting up their car for collateral. They're putting up their other assets. So over here, they're going to be trading these assets on that collateral. And over here, they're trading the collateral on these assets. And so the whole market is now tied together by all these big financial institutions trading trillions of dollars worth of stocks that they don't actually have on leverage that's based on collateral that they're trading for trillions of dollars worth of stock over there. You see what I mean? So like if they fuck this one up, then that one gets fine. There's all these dudes doing this like kind of criminal shorting businesses out of existence scheme in the market, in kind of in secret. And they've been targeting GameStop for years now. Ever since 2014, the stock was on this endless ramp down. They were short selling it while they had infiltrated it and were mismanaging the company from the inside out. Amazon was licking its lips, ready to take over the video game online industry. And the people doing all this short selling also have all these other crazy bets open all over the market. And if any of them go wrong, a whole lot of things go wrong. And then out of nowhere, this random dude that would like live stream to 4 people about his investment thesis noticed that GameStop had a lot of short sellers, and it wasn't necessarily a bad company. In fact, it had a future if it turned around. And then this really savvy businessman came and took over the company and started turning it around. And he kicked out all the bad people that had been trying to mismanage it to death. And suddenly all the people that had just spent years and years short selling millions and millions of shares, and all those loans were still open because they were expecting it to go to zero and they wouldn't have to pay them back. Suddenly the price is going up and they're all in trouble. Because the thing is, when the price goes up and one of the other people that's short selling the company gets scared and closes out their trades, they have to buy all those shares back to get out of that, right? Because they borrowed and sold, so now they have to buy and give them back. But all that buying makes the price go up even higher. And there were a lot of people short selling this thing. And in fact, they had short sold it so much that they couldn't afford to buy it all back once the price started going up that high. I mean, it was down to like 50 cents and they were opening short sales at 50 cents. Today we're at what, $60 times millions and millions and millions of shares that you have to buy back. Each one will make the price go up. And the whole stock market is tied together by all these crazy financial derivatives, and everyone's balance sheets are actually kind of sketchy.
GameStop.
Yeah, GameStop was failing. Most people were buying games digitally now. What GameStop should have did was they should have transitioned like Steam and PlayStation did and made deals with these companies so that they could be digital and you know what I mean, compete, but they didn't. So yeah, people short those type of companies because they know they're gonna fail. The problem is all these people started buying in that never bought in before, and they made a lot of money and they screwed a lot of those rich people who screwed a lot of other people. So hey, but right now, should you buy? I don't know. I'm staying away from GameStop because it's extremely volatile. And I don't do options trading. I do buy and long term hold. So I don't play around with I don't bet whether it's going to go up or go down because it's too risky for me. And 99% of people that do it, they fail. The 1% are the people who are inside, like they said, with management, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm gonna short this stock because I know that they're gonna fuck it up. They're not gonna come back. They're not gonna figure this company out." So
again,
stay away from GameStop unless you have money that you're willing to lose. If you're willing to throw $1,000 in a strip club tomorrow, then yeah, you can probably buy GameStop with that $1,000.
I'm asking y'all a question too, and me and Rez have already had this. Not maybe we haven't had this talk out loud, but through I guess Messenger or through message on Facebook. How do y'all feel about the Apple stock?
I'm gonna be here for Apple. I'm gonna be here.
Let's see. I'm gonna go to
Is
my
Apple ever going under?
I'm telling you. To me personally, I think that Apple has not done anything since Steve Jobs passed. From an innovative perspective, they have bought different things that add on to the company because they're a major market company. So they can always buy some other company they see coming up in a tech world or something and say, "Hey, we're gonna buy you niggas out." Cool, but where does that lead you in an innovative perspective or innovative space when Samsung decides to start buying the same company that you're getting?
Google. I fuck with Google. I'm gonna start fucking with Google a little
and
more.
It's crazy that you. Oh, my bad, Lethal. I didn't even hear you talking, bro. What was you saying about Google?
I'm just saying Google. I feel like be the better choice far as phone wise right now, especially. You know what I'm saying? Because that Pixel and that Pixel Fold that they got, the first gen joint, I'm waiting to see what they're going to do when they drop like the second and third gen of the Fold. But, bro, I'm saying like, yeah, Ryan, like that joint, bro, Google definitely is about to change the game when it comes to these phones, bro. I actually like kind of like fuck with what direction they're going in. Far as for Apple's sake, I don't think Apple will ever turn into have us with any type of folding phone whatsoever. You know what I'm saying?
Let me ask you this.
Like,
do you think Apple users care?
I mean, probably not. You know what I'm saying? Probably
I have no interest in a folding phone.
You know what I'm saying? But shit, that Google Pixel phone, bro, shit.
Well,
yeah, no, I just said it and said like that. The thing you got to understand about Apple as a company, right? Apple's not really selling you a product. Apple's selling you a lifestyle. Apple's selling you a culture. Apple is that's the thing that people always get wrong when they want to argue with Apple people about. Well, my phone can do this. My phone can do that.
I have Apple. I have Apple. I'm not saying,
I'm just saying like that's what I'm saying. Like Apple users are like, we don't care
at all.
At all. So Starbucks. You can tell somebody that.
So y'all making decisions based off nothing new. Y'all to say, you know what, I'm going to be locked into this company regardless.
Well, no, because I'm gonna let this conversation play out because I have another point to make after this. But I'm just saying, though. Yeah. I mean, we know what to expect out of Apple. And if you aren't buying an Apple phone, what kind of phone are you buying?
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, like I said, Samsung just outsold them for the first time ever.
I mean, that's possible.
First time ever. I mean, but worldwide, Apple sells more than in the worldwide, but they're selling your lifestyle and ecosystem. They're selling different things, and they're also closed source. Because they're closed source, they have more control over their software.
Yep. So, and so you also got to look at the fact that like, okay, so now Congress is trying to like break up Apple. They're considering Apple monopoly. They don't do that because they think a company is not doing well financially.
Yeah.
Right. So
I'm just saying from an innovative.
From an innovation
I'm not saying they're not doing well by finance. I'm saying from an innovative perspective, based off the fact that the new technology, like I mean, I understand they're probably going to get the new AI. They're going to probably replace Siri at a certain point. Mm-hmm. But again, what a new iPad? Like, there's nothing new that Apple was doing. And they were the ones that were
if anything, they're making them regress. They just made them make a phone cable that's universal because the USB-C port is more universal to a lot more devices, and the Apple cord is only for an Apple device, and they cost some shit of money.
I'll tell you a few things. One, Apple products, like the way Apple products work together they haven't matched that in the industry yet. Like I have not, like literally my laptop. I can type something in my computer, press copy on my computer, and press paste on iPad, and the entire thing is there. Like there are some things like just in terms of convenience that once you're an Apple user, you're just here. Now, if by some weird thing like Samsung like just runs past Apple and they're so far down the street that Apple users have to look at it and be like, dang, we are really missing out. My mentee's phone broke.
I'm saying
my mentee's phone broke.
Well,
my mentee's phone broke. He was like, my phone broke. I'm like, okay, cool. Take it to the Samsung store and get it fixed. We don't have a Samsung store. I'm like,
Samsung phones were always durable. Like far as like when we're talking about, you know what I'm saying, phones and stuff, Samsung was known for like durability. But if you want to talk about software, like yes, they was always like kind of like behind with the software, but they were more worldwide, so you could download stuff strictly from the web. You know what I'm saying? The access was a little more free, but it caused more security problems. It causes more you having viruses and stuff. So like the shit on Samsung is they need to improve their software and their security if they want to be so wide open the way they're so wide open. Because it's not the phones, it's the software. You know what I'm saying? So that's my take. That's my thing with Samsung. That's why I fuck with Google, because Google started as a fucking internet server. Now they went into having all these other appliances and having phones. It's like they're with Apple. You know what I'm saying? They're on the tier with Apple. You know what I'm saying? So it's like if I'm gonna talk about software phones and what I would work best with, Apple first, then Google, and then if you just need like a durable phone, you go Samsung.
Yeah, but I mean,
that pixel with the Google lens is different.
Yeah, in terms of the stock won't be there.
Y'all was talking about whether or not Google stock was doing better than Apple stock. It has. It's since December, Google stock is up 33%. Since November, Apple stock is only up 7%.
And look at Microsoft's stock. They're up too.
Microsoft stock is up since November. Microsoft stock is up like 15%. So yeah, they're doing good. But
they're doing really well.
But they go through phases. They go through phases. You know, you could see a boom of Apple stock, you know, over the next 2 months and catch up to those mild returns. But they all got, they're different companies. They all got a lot of stuff going on. I think Apple is just running out of like, what are they going to do next?
Yeah, because the plan obsolescence is running wild.
My point. What are they going to do next?
So I don't know what it would be, because like they came out with the VR headset, but that's a niche product because that headset was like $3,500 starting, and I've seen people say when you max it out, it's like $5,000. So that's not going to be a massive product.
Who has the money for that? Like that's the problem.
That's
a luxury product.
I'm sorry, I don't know how to unblock.
And that's even old technology. That technology is not new.
Business is buying those.
Yo, so just to come back to the conversation, right? So Alphabet Inc., which is the organization that owns Google, stock is at 176.33. Apple stock is at 189.98. So even at the 7%, rate, which isn't as high as the Google improvement, what 33%, they're still outperforming them.
No,
over time though. I get it. I'm not saying that they're not outperforming them. I'm saying that.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, this new ChatGPT. Now I know for a fact Apple's going to get it. They're going to get it. I've seen some shit. They're probably going to buy into it. But this shit about to change the whole landscape.
Yeah, for sure.
So over the past 5 years, Google stock is up 219%, and Apple stock is up like 216%, which makes sense because Apple is a bigger company than Google. Their market cap is like 2.7 or something.
They buy everybody else?
It was like 2.2 trillion. So Apple still was, like I said, outperformed Google over the past 5 years, yes. So
and it's going to be here for another 5.
So you don't think Warren Buffett selling majority of his stocks was an eye opener or like a little a pause for cause?
But he plays by different rules.
He does. He doesn't have a computer.
He just has different motives that really doesn't necessarily there's something bad going on. It just means that he's just on a different, and you gotta understand he's older. You know, a lot of those decisions aren't really him at this point. They're people below him because he's not going to be alive in 10 years.
That's true.
He's like 90 years old now.
Yeah.
He's right. That's right.
Warren Buffett.
I just wanted to have
still
the
does not own a
discussion.
computer. He still does not own a computer. I mean, I remember reading a book about him. He still doesn't own a computer. He does Sudoku every morning. Like that's like his jam. But definitely, I think Mike, that's something that definitely would give me pause. But I also know that we look at different things in terms of industry. Like Warren Buffett is investing at a level that I can only imagine.
Yeah, true.
$50 a month. I lost $50 every 2 weeks.
Yeah, I feel you.
Towards Apple ain't gonna make or break Warren Buffett.
Well,
you know what I mean? Like
you not do the S&P 500?
No, I got my 401k and I do my $50 in Apple every 2 weeks. And
shout out to the Thrift Savings Plan, TSP.
Yeah, dog.
You know what I'm saying? But I feel like we was talking about Apple outpacing everybody. I feel like Apple does so well because Steve Jobs and the people after him just found out how to master planned obsolescence, like in the fucking trapping everybody into these recurring payments. Like I was talking about the fucking charger cables, they break easily and they're expensive. You have to get an OtterBox. You have to get a top of the line phone case when you purchase an Apple phone. Because
let me
ask you all this then. So if we see the economic, well, y'all two think that the economy is in a good place. I'm not trying to be funny, but for where I stand at, the economy is not in a good place. I don't see people having a lot of money. People using a lot of credit cards, a lot of borrowing. So if the economic situation for our status as a country is still going down, do we see those high-end companies like an Apple suffer because people can't afford to buy another charger? They can't afford to. Like I don't think personally we're that far from Venezuela. In the next
hopefully
5 years,
we can get healthcare like Venezuela.
We're not that far from Venezuela. I really don't feel that way. As an economy, personally, based on inflation, based on how their dollar went from meaning a whole lot to this minimal at a certain point because of what we talked about, the corrupt government. I see a direct correlation between Venezuela and us. I feel like they want to crash the dollar. They want to really, really make it a one world currency. You already see what the other countries are going through with Brexit.
To my BRICS,
They're trying to come together and make this thing. They're trying to put a squeeze on us because we're not a producer anymore. So that's
why I outsource a lot of the jobs.
They're gonna say, "Hey man, that debt y'all got, that shit, yo, we gotta run that."
But here's the thing about China. Here's the thing: if you compare China to the United States GDP, the United States GDP is almost 10 trillion higher. So while there are things that they're trying to do with BRICS, there are things that are happening. I would argue that the biggest thing we should worry about is income inequality. If too much money is at the top, then people at the bottom can no longer buy those things because it's not circulating. So there are parts of it I definitely agree with. Like I said, 8 men own more wealth than half the world.
Yeah.
So
I agree with you 100%, and I think that's a problem.
It is.
And that goes back to the fact that like you had people before us, the Carnegies. You got the same family still running these things. You know what I'm saying? JP Morgan. That's a company that's been around since 1920. They've been around since that long. Bacardi, these companies have been around since that long and keeping a squeeze in a chokehold. With the Rockefellers, we know all that type of shit. But what I'm trying to say is that I feel like that's going to keep on squeezing until the breaking point.
It most definitely is.
Do y'all feel like every time a phone drop and you see the prices of the phone, just like with the iPhone 15 when that joint came out, and I used to work, T-Mobile, so I would see how they do the shit. So it's like when you see, and it's not like the phone company set the prices. No, it's the actual phone brand that sets the prices. So when you see these phones being $800, $1,000, $1,200, do you actually feel like you get your money's worth when you buy a phone in today's world versus back then when you used to get a Razor or a BlackBerry for like $80? $120 for a new phone was like, was perfectly fine. And then you spend like $50 on your phone bill, $60 versus now where you spend $1,000 on your phone bill or $1,000 on your phone, and then your phone bill be
I'm
like
gonna say this.
$300.
Well, to expand on your point and to also piggyback off what Mike P was talking about, you know, it has to be some type of bubble bursting where we figure out that you can't just buy these things. We are outpricing the people who we say, and Apple wants to be reached by everybody. We aren't going to act like they're a luxury brand. They want to be, regardless of the status, they want to be reached by everybody. They want everybody to have an Apple. So the thing that they've done to people now is, again, they've locked them into either credit or debt. Just like, bro, I remember shopping at the Dump, or every furniture store is different. Ashley, whatever you want to call it. I remember shopping with my mom in furniture stores, and you used to be able to buy furniture. When you go furniture shopping now, you have to be locked into payments. When you buy a cell phone now, you have to be locked into recurring payments.
I'm about to say that. You don't even own the phone to a certain point.
But they're now offering financing for phone. Remember we talked about whether people who are poor would make bad financial decisions? If you're poor right now, right, you have the option to finance that $1,000 iPhone. But you know what other option you have? You could go over there and get a straight talk phone for $200.
Yes, you could.
But one of the reasons they want to break up Apple. One of the reasons they want to break up Apple is they said that people, that bubble, you could tell if the person owned the Android.
It's lowering their self-esteem.
And that's why they would go and want, because I had someone that was like, "Oh, you own a
no, Amber,
Android."
you don't necessarily
like,
have
both
to.
phones. You just don't realize it.
Yeah, I got
the fact that you even tried to shame me over a simple conversation of me texting the wrong number. It's funny.
Going to Ashley Furniture, you do. If you go to a furniture store, I just happened to buy my fucking couch off of Amazon for $600, but not everybody has $600 laying around to furnish their home, especially with something they don't feel like is top tier.
But see, this is also a larger issue in terms of like wants and needs.
Yeah.
Like
do you need
some of the stuff we're talking about you don't need?
No.
Like
you need
if you want a couch, you need a couch, you can find a couch. You can literally go, there's places you can go.
For sure you can find a couch.
Right. But the thing is that you want to look like you have the newest, freshest couch. I don't buy brand new phones. I never buy I'm always 2 phones behind the newest phone. I'm always,
Me too.
Always.
I said you have to, because that's what happens when you walk into the store. They are. I'm talking to Amber through the comments. My bad.
Yeah, like that's so that becomes like my kids. My kids have never owned a pair of Jordans. Never. I don't care what kid they saw in school that had Jordans. They're like, Daddy, these Jordans are dope.
I got you.
No,
with a hookup.
We don't. I have a rule. I am not spending over $125 a pair of shoes.
Yeah, I like that rule.
I'm not. One, when you're really little, dog, you have no concept of money. No concept of money. So I can go out and spend $150 on a pair of Jordans so you can go play at recess in them. No. Those SpongeBob SquarePants shoes that you loved when you walked in the store, you want to rock those, homeboy?
You
can find secondhand furniture everywhere. I'm not saying that that's exactly what you have to do. I was talking about in the sense that what are businesses doing when they've realized that they are outpricing the people that they are trying to reach. They lock you into payments. But I'm not saying that the only options that you have is going to Ashley Furniture Store or going to the Dump. That's not the only options that people have.
No, you're right. No, because the problem is that people would rather look like they have it and not have it than to not look like they have it and have it.
I definitely feel
that's fact.
You understand what I'm saying? Like people like that's the issue. Like I go back to my son's point. My kids can go to school.
Unless I'm stepping out, I wear the same clothes every single week.
Amber, do you feel like people have to have a job or people choose to have a job? That's really what the dynamic of this conversation is. No, you lock yourself into the pit. Of course, but would Ashley Furniture be in business if people were not locking themselves into payments?
No, they wouldn't.
No.
The veil of choice here is not what we're talking about. They aren't the same things because that's not what I'm arguing, Amber.
Okay. I have money. I've walked into Ashley Furniture, looked at the stuff, like, oh, this is nice. This is not in my price range. I'm going to leave. The problem is that many people will not say, this is not my price range. They'll say, oh, all I got to do is put it on this card here, or all I have to do is
finance
it, and it's okay. Like I'm not shaming people who decide to do that, but they also have to understand that you are choosing to do that.
You have to make financial decisions and live within your means. You don't need $1,000 iPhone when you can go to Walmart and get a $200 phone and a $45 a month phone plan from Straight Talk. But the pressure socially is that everyone's got an iPhone and I need the iPhone. So iPhone's like, well, if you're not in our target demographic,
that's it.
We got an option.
Unlimited.
You can get a phone. We can finance the phone over 2 years. You add it to your phone bill every month, and that's what a lot of people do.
I just added my son's phone to my account. He was like, "Yo, but does he have the newest phone?" No, my son got an iPhone 13. It's going to cost us an additional $26 a month. Like, all right, cool, we can rock with that.
You still got a newer phone than I got.
See, you made a choice.
Word up. Exactly. A phone is a phone. That's why, again, I don't buy into the whole. I got four Apple laptops. I don't have an Apple phone, but the laptop I feel like is a fire jump. But I'm a DJ.
And also, it depends. How long do you keep your phone? How long do you keep your devices? You know, when I buy a laptop, I keep
most
it
people
for
keep it for like 2 years.
Some of these people they get a new phone every year.
No, that's crazy. And that's insane.
They've spent $10,000 on iPhones, but don't have $10,000 worth of Apple stock. Which had they have done that, they'd have way more money right now. Instead, they just throw their money away because instead of going and getting a $200 phone and taking that $800 and buying Apple stock every year.
Come on now. And again, that goes back to what?
But they're purposely taught and are not taught to think that way.
That's right. That goes back to that mentality we talked about, from the grandma to the child to the other child to the next child to the grandchild to the. That's the mentality.
It's culture. It's generational. If you never were taught these things or never made aware from a young age, you don't know any better. You know, I know people that inherited money. Won a lawsuit for getting hit, and they blew every dollar.
Every single dollar.
They got like $40,000 and they blew it. Amber knows the person I'm talking about.
That's a fact. I know people that just won some money a couple of days ago, and they're already making this unsound financial decisions. But again, that's not my bread. In my mind, I'm like, yo, you tripping.
People that work construction and got $10,000 chains on.
No, there are car lots. There are car lots. There are car lots you can go to with terrible credit, right? Terrible credit. Oh, we'll come on in. We'll buy here, pay here, and they're going to charge you 50-60% on that car, bro.
Yep.
And you know it's
drive times.
It's
auto connection.
Affordable luxury car.
CarMax. Oh yeah.
CarMax.
All you do is say we're in-house finance. We know that we really can't afford this car. So
they can find one for you.
Car payment for a car that costs like $15,000. But hey, at least you're in the BMW from 2007.
Come on now.
What they do is when you default, right? When you default, they got that little kill switch they put in that car.
That's right.
They turn the car off. You be in traffic and they turn it off at the light. They come get that car and they resell it out to someone else and they make
the same jump.
And a lot of those cars you don't know, but they were
blood
cars. They had bad. What they were salvage titles that you don't realize that they tricked with the paperwork. They got somebody to do legal paperwork on them so that they don't look. The title looks good.
Yep.
But you wouldn't know.
Well, you gotta do your homework, yo. And a lot of times that's self-reflecting. As like, I know we all men in here, so you have to step outside of what you know and say, you know what, I'm gonna do my own homework. I'm gonna try my best to apply myself and read books and go to seminars and go get a mentor and be up under somebody who understands and knows these things, so I can level up. A lot of people are just not doing that. They're following their homeboy or the crowd they know from second grade, and I went to high school with you. I don't hang out with nobody I went to high school with. You know why? Because they can't tell me shit.
And we need to have these conversations with our kids.
Yeah,
kids
have to. Like,
we gotta be talking to our kids about credit. We gotta be talking to kids about
every day.
I did a session. We did a session with our kids one month because every month we have a different topic, and we definitely get into like financial literacy and debt management and credit and stuff like that. And I explained to them, like, listen, if your parents if you know your parents to pay their bills on time, and they have a credit card, make you an authorized user. Yeah, they don't. There's no minimum age to do that. My kids graduated with 750 credit scores.
Big facts.
That sets them up for success in the future. So now when you in college, I'm trying to get the car to get back and forth. Now they're not gonna bust you over the head with
established credit. You had a credit card for 4 years? Oh man, okay, that's good. Come on,
you had a great payment history. Come on in, like
yep.
and
you go to a bank
visit with them. So
you get pre-qualified.
There it is. There's a lot of places we can pick up the mantle, fellas. And we can do better for those who come after us. So I love this conversation.
Yeah, and that's why, again, I know Rez taught. That's why I was in the alternative schools, because I knew I had a certain wealth of knowledge. I could teach people that teach young adults and the young people that I knew for a fact they were on the wrong path to jail. They were going to be a slave. They were going to be, institutionalized, so to speak. They already was on special education, taking medicine. So it was my job to kind of get in there and say, you know what? I'm going to put the medicine in the candy. I'm going to make sure that I'm going to give you some tough love, some real love. I'm going to still educate you and tell you the truth about life. So that's what it takes men to do those things. It takes men to step up and say, hey, we got to be the change. Again, we want to see and affect people with a positive attitude. So it can't be the little homie on the corner, you give him the black and mild or tell him you want to, take this pack or smoke this. It can't be none of that shit. Like all my youngsters, they know. They just come to my crib and say, yo, let me see the report card. What you doing in school? Straight. You can't hang out tonight, bro. You gotta leave, bro. You can't hang out with me. Hell no. You bullshitting in school? You went to college and you playing games for what? You know what the goal was. So all my youngsters I know, including Cups.
For sure.
Solid.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You see him? Hell yeah, bro. And I didn't meet him until later on in life. But he's solid. Hard working, smart. He need to be in politics. He gonna be in politics if he wants to. You already took the stand already when I didn't even know you was that. You on the news? Come on, man.
Yeah, that was a little
real talk. Real talk. You had it down though. You for real. That was inspiring. I don't give a fuck who got something to say about it.
Yeah,
I know it came from your heart.
Hell yeah, thank you so much, man. And I also appreciate Finance Rock.
Y'all need to be down here.
Oh yeah, bro. Yeah, the famous chant. You know what I'm saying? Y'all got to get down.
Yeah.
Here, you know what I'm saying?
Come stand with me, nigga. Come stand with us. Yeah. We don't want no problem with y'all. We want peace. I remember like yesterday. We want peace. Come stand with us. Peace and love.
Stand with us. This is peace and love.
Come on, man.
Bro. Yeah.
That shit meant something, nigga. I'm like, yo, he telling the truth. He telling them what we want. We want to be peaceful with y'all. We don't want a problem with y'all.
We don't, bro.
At all.
So, hell yeah. Yeah, that we definitely needed. We definitely needed police, bro. And that jump was just so crazy during 2020 because it was cops. It was just videos of cops coming down to the protest. You know what I'm saying, bro? For one, fuck 12. For one, but there was definitely, you know what I'm saying, cops. You know what I'm saying, coming down to it was just nationwide. You know what I'm saying, after the George Floyd shit. You know what I'm saying, just showing solidarity, bro. Just doing a gesture. You know what I'm saying? Instead of meeting us with riot gear, you know what I'm saying? How about at least march with us or just stand with us, or you know what I'm saying?
You know what I think it is? I think that people don't necessarily join the police to be assholes. What I think happens is we expect the police to deal with the toughest of the toughest criminals on the street. So you need tough, aggressive people. And then when they meet someone who's not that person, you expect them to turn it off.
That's right.
And I think they get to the point where they get so on edge, like this person could pull a gun right now and shoot me. They see their friends die in different states. That's why they travel across state lines to go to funerals. I think that we're asking them to be calm and chill, but the people that they put away for 40 years, and when the cops got to chase that guy down, getting and shoot out that guy, there's no calm and chill with that guy. We got to be just as ruthless, and we got to win. He can't win. And so I think that it creates this culture where people are like, oh, it's just a simple protest. Those guys don't do simple nothing. Those guys do aggression.
At all times.
Because
and I go back to the football player mentality. And I was in that same realm. I was looked at as like a correctional officer, so to speak. Like, so I understand that mentality. I understand like how my perception is already going to be upon you. You might come in with a certain level of aggression. You're 100% right. They're dealing with the killers and dealers and stillers at all times, and they don't know if you ain't one of them or not. And You may not be one of them, but you might turn up on them. You know, you just never know. So they're subjugated too. My dad worked correctly for a period of time. He told me, he said, son, I was a prisoner too. You know why? Because I was in there the same amount of time them prisoners was. I just got to go home for 6 hours. But I had to come right back up in that motherfucker. I'm doing the same thing they're doing. I'm eating almost the same stuff they're doing. I'm in the same environments they in. Mm-hmm. So the prison guards, they're prisoners too. They don't even know it. They just get to go home. You just on ball time. Even when I was in that field, I was a prisoner to what the environment was, because the environment is the environment. Yeah. So like you said, like them people, man, their mind is like, yo, I don't know if you gonna do something to me or not. I'm not giving no scapegoat. I'm just telling the real shit, bro. And I think a lot of times that's a system that we gotta replace. It can't be an infiltration. It gotta be replaced. You gotta replace a system of injustice with a system of justice.
For sure. No, that's real shit though. Because I mean, like I said, it goes back to the training and what Residente said. I'm definitely an advocate for defunding and breaking that money up and putting it in other places. You know what I'm saying? But when you talk about, you know, the training that they get, you know, especially militarized training and how they're trained to deal with civilians. And I mean, we have to be honest about this. The percentage of violent offenders at any given time in a county jail is, compared to everything that everybody else is there for, it's pretty small. You know what I'm saying? So
most people aren't killers. Most people are not killers.
They aren't.
1% of the population of killers, basically.
So it's like the need to always to have things met with violence. Mm-hmm. I don't think is necessary. That's why, you know, I'm glad DeMarcus Alert.
Who told them it was okay to run with military weapons and shit? Like, who told the cops that they needed all these gears for the?
They have to justify. They have to justify all the money somehow.
Yeah. And go back to the roots of it. Police officer number the slave catcher, the same badge, the same uniform. Like, so that's the origin of a police officer. Is a slave catcher.
The cops are the thin blue line between the rich and the poor.
Yeah,
they protect property and they protect white supremacy.
That's it.
They are the strong arm of capitalism. That's the enforcement. When we think about authoritarian regimes, like American police is definitely the guard dog for the wealthy. That's it.
They up there. And they definitely choose on who they decide to do certain things to and not to.
Yeah.
So you got to be right and exact and get wise and say, you know what? I just choose not to be around you at all.
Yeah.
That's it. That's my goal. I choose to stay armed. That's my right to be armed in this country. And I choose to just not break the law and just not be around you. I don't need to be around cops. I don't need to be around areas where cops are at. Where cops are present. I don't even need to be around none of that shit. It's not the fact that I can't live my life. I pop out when I pop out, and I have a great time, unlimitedly. That's my style. I come. I'm like a bear. I hide maybe like 3 months, and then I pop out, and I have unlimited fun for like days. For days, I'm spending that shit on days at a time. You know what I'm saying? So you got to figure out. I'm 36 years old. At one point, I was partying every single day. I know it's about to be a young nigga acting a complete fool. Acting a fool in front of the cops, just taunting the cops. I did all that stupid shit. But you get wiser, you have children, you have to realize, look, my lifestyle and how I walk and move, I gotta change. I gotta grow.
Yeah, bro. Straight up. This was an amazing box tonight, fellas. Definitely appreciate Finance Rod for dropping through to the motherfucking hot box, man. This was the Monday smoke service. Thank you, everybody who tuned in. Thank you, Amber, for tuning in the comments. Hell yeah, 1 half of Sports Reports as ordered. You already know, man. I'm Styrofoam Ralph. We have had my dog, DJ, Mike P, Dakota Mike, in the motherfucking hot box. And you know I got my dog, Bleed Blue, for the shoe. Jay Lethal, Nap Nation in the building, the 4-1 Oracle, and my dog, Finance Rye. Appreciate y'all so much. Y'all can catch the hot box every Sunday, Monday, Thursday, and Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We love y'all so much, man. Smoke with us.